You're standing there on New Year's Eve, watching fireworks light up the sky, champagne in hand, and somewhere between the countdown and the celebration, a question hits you harder than it should. Did anything actually change this year? I mean, really change. You made promises last January. Maybe you said you'd finally start saving. Maybe you swore you'd get out of debt. Maybe you told yourself this would be the year you'd stop living paycheck to paycheck and actually build something. But here you are, another year older. And if you're honest with yourself, financially, you're standing in the exact same spot. Same stress, same worry, same cycle of hoping things will somehow get better while doing the exact same things that kept you stuck. And the worst part, you know what to do. You've watched the videos, you've read the articles, you know you should save more, invest smarter, spend less. But knowing and doing are two completely different things. Here's what's really happening, and this is the part most people never realize. Your bank account isn't a reflection of what you know, it's a reflection of how you think. Because the difference between someone who builds wealth and someone who just dreams about it isn't information, it's mindset. It's 7 specific mental shifts that change everything about how money moves in your life. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly why mindset determines 80% of your financial results and how to reprogram the 7 beliefs that are keeping you broke. You'll discover the 3 psychological transformations that happen when you finally change your relationship with money, the deep mental shift that makes you see opportunities where you used to see impossibilities, and how to apply every single lesson even if you're starting from absolute zero today. And here's the thing, this isn't theory, this isn't motivation. This is the actual rewiring that separates people who escape the rat race from people who retire in it. I'm James, and I've spent far too much time breaking down how the rich actually think and what they do differently that no one ever teaches you. So if you're tired of making the same financial promises every January and breaking them by March, stay with me, because 2026 can be different, but only if you're willing to think different. Let me tell you what nobody wants to admit. Most people aren't stuck because they're lazy. They're stuck because they're locked in a mental prison they don't even know exists. You see, every piece of financial advice you've ever received, save 20%, invest early, avoid debt, live below your means, all of that is useless if your mind is still programmed to think like someone who will never have money. And that's the invisible problem. You can read every book on wealth, you can watch every YouTube video on investing, you can follow every guru on Instagram. But if your subconscious still believes money is hard to get, rich people are greedy, or I'll never be one of them, then your actions will sabotage every good intention you have. It's like trying to drive forward with the emergency brake on. You'll move a little, you'll feel like you're trying, but you'll never actually get anywhere. And every January, the cycle repeats. New goals, same mindset, same results. The frustration of knowing exactly what to do, but watching yourself do the opposite. The guilt of another year wasted. The fear that maybe, just maybe, financial freedom isn't meant for people like you. But here's the truth. It's not about working harder. It's not about finding some secret investment. It's about rewiring the way you see money, risk, time, and yourself. Because once that changes, everything changes. There are 7 mental shifts that separate those who build wealth from those who just survive. Not tips, not hacks, not motivational quotes you write down and forget by Tuesday. These are fundamental reconfigurations of how you think about money. And when you adopt them, really adopt them, not just nod along, your financial life transforms. Because here's what most people don't understand. Mindset isn't some fluffy, abstract concept. It's the operating system your brain runs on when it comes to money. And if that system is outdated, corrupted, or programmed for scarcity, it doesn't matter how much money you make. You'll always find a way to lose it, spend it, or sabotage it. Rich people don't think about money the way you do. They don't see it the way you do. They don't fear it, worship it, or avoid it the way you do.
And that difference, that invisible mental difference, is worth more than any stock tip or budgeting app you'll ever find. So the question isn't, what should I do with my money in 2026? The question is, who do I need to become to actually build wealth in 2026? And these 7 lessons are the answer. Lesson 1. Money follows clarity, not effort. You've been lied to. You've been told that if you just work harder, hustle longer, grind more, the money will come. But look around. There are people working 3 jobs who are broke. And there are people working 20 hours a week who are building empires. The difference isn't effort, it's clarity. Because money doesn't follow hard workers. Money follows people who know exactly what they want, why they want it, and what they're willing to do to get it. Think about it.
When you say, I want to be rich, what does that even mean? $1 million? 10 million? The ability to quit your job? To travel? To never worry about bills again? Your brain can't move toward a vague destination. It needs coordinates. Compare these 2 people. Person A says, I want to be financially free one day. Person B says, I want $50,000 invested by December 31st so I can generate $200 a month in passive income. Person B will win every time. Not because they're smarter, not because they work harder, but because their goal is so clear, their brain knows exactly what to focus on, what to ignore, and what decisions to make every single day. Clarity creates magnetism. Clarity turns wishes into plans. Clarity is the difference between I hope things get better and I'm building something that will change my life. If you're serious about changing your money in 2026, you need to get brutally clear about what you actually want, not what sounds good. Not what you think you should want, what you actually want. If this resonates with you, hit subscribe right now, because every video on this channel is designed to turn confusion into strategy. And without clarity, you're not building wealth, you're just busy. Lesson 2. You're not broke, you're just stuck in consumer mindset. Here's a test. The last time you bought something, what question did you ask? How much does it cost? Or what will this give me in return? Most people ask the first question. Rich people ask the second. And that tiny difference reveals everything. See, you're not broke because you don't make enough money. You're broke because you think like a consumer instead of an investor. A consumer sees $200 pair of shoes and thinks, can I afford this? An investor sees $200 and thinks, if I invest this, it could be worth $250 next year. Or I could use the dividends to buy the shoes later. Same $200. Completely different mindset. And this applies to everything. Your time, your energy, your relationships, your education. Every decision you make is either consuming your future or investing in it. The person stuck in consumer mindset spends their whole paycheck and wonders why they never get ahead. The person with investor mindset delays gratification, compounds wins, and watches their net worth grow while everyone else is wondering what happened. You want to know why some people escape poverty and others don't? It's not luck. It's not privilege. It's this shift right here. Stop asking, can I afford it? Start asking, does this move me closer to freedom or further from it? Lesson 3. Fear is expensive. Inaction costs more than mistakes. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. How much money have you lost by doing nothing? Not by making bad investments, not by spending too much, but by being too afraid to start, too afraid to invest, too afraid to start a side hustle, too afraid to negotiate your salary, too afraid to take the leap. Here's a truth nobody wants to hear. Inaction is the most expensive financial decision you will ever make. Because while you're sitting there paralyzed by fear, inflation is eating your savings. Opportunities are passing you by. Compound interest is working for someone else instead of you. Let's do some simple math. If you had invested just $100 a month starting 3 years ago in a basic index fund, you'd have around $4,000 today. But you didn't.
You waited. You researched, you thought about it, you told yourself, I'll start when I understand it better. And now that $4,000 is gone, not because you lost it, because you never gave yourself the chance to earn it. I'm not saying be reckless. I'm saying understand the cost of caution. Mistakes are expensive, but inaction is financially fatal. Rich people aren't fearless. They just understand that the cost of doing nothing is higher than the cost of trying and failing. So if you've been sitting on the sidelines waiting for the perfect time to start investing, start that business, start learning, this is your wake-up call. The perfect time was 3 years ago. The second best time is today. Lesson 4. Rich people don't avoid debt. They avoid stupid debt. Here's something that'll blow your mind. Rich people use debt. A lot of it. But they use it completely differently than you do. See, you've been taught that all debt is bad, that you should avoid it at all costs, that if you owe money, you're failing. But that's only half the story. There are 2 kinds of debt. Debt that makes you poor and debt that makes you rich. Debt that makes you poor? A $40,000 car loan on a depreciating asset. A credit card balance from a vacation you can't remember. A payment plan on furniture that'll be worthless in 5 years. Debt that makes you rich? A mortgage on a rental property that pays for itself. A business loan that generates 10 times its cost. An investment that compounds faster than the interest rate. The difference is simple. Does this debt put money in your pocket or take it out? Most people borrow money to buy things that lose value. Rich people borrow money to buy things that gain value. And that shift, that one mental reframe, is how generational wealth is built. I'm not telling you to go into debt. I'm telling you to stop fearing it and start understanding it. Because the moment you learn how to use leverage intelligently, you stop being a slave to money and start making it work for you. If you want to understand the exact difference between smart debt and stupid debt, subscribe now, because this one concept can completely change your financial trajectory in 2026. Don't let fear of debt keep you poor. Lesson 5. Your network isn't just who you know, it's who influences your money beliefs. Show me your 5 closest friends, and I'll show you your financial future. Sounds harsh, but it's true. Because here's what nobody tells you. You don't just inherit money from your family, you inherit beliefs about money, and those beliefs shape everything. If you're surrounded by people who think money is evil, you'll subconsciously sabotage every opportunity to make it. If you're surrounded by people who think investing is gambling, you'll never take the risks that build wealth. If you're surrounded by people who complain about bills instead of discussing solutions, you'll stay stuck in that same mental space. You become the average of the people you spend the most time with, and that includes financially. Think about your last conversation with friends. Did you talk about investments, business ideas, ways to grow income? Or did you talk about how expensive everything is, how unfair the system is, how impossible it feels? I'm not saying abandon your friends. I'm saying be aware of the influence. Because if you're serious about building wealth, you need to be around people who are also building wealth, people who challenge you to think bigger, people who see possibilities instead of problems. Your network determines your net worth, not because of connections, but because of mindset. Lesson 6. Time is your biggest asset, but only if you use it right. Rich people don't value money more than you. They value time more than you. And once you understand that, everything changes. See, you've been conditioned to trade time for money. You work an hour, you get paid for an hour. You work 40 hours, you get a paycheck. And that model keeps you trapped because there are only so many hours in a day. And if your income is tied to your income has a ceiling. Rich people figured this out a long time ago. They don't ask, how much can I earn per hour? They ask, how can I earn money while I sleep? That's the shift. That's the difference between working for money and having money work for you. And the crazy part, you have the same 24 hours they do. The only difference is how you're using them. If you spend the next 10 years trading time for dollars, you'll have a decade of paychecks and nothing else.
If you spend the next 10 years building systems, investments, and income streams, you'll have a decade of compounding wealth and freedom. The choice is yours, but the clock is ticking. Subscribe now if you're ready to stop trading time for money and start building wealth that works while you sleep. Because every year you wait is a year of freedom you're giving up. Lesson 7. Wealth isn't a destination. It's a series of better decisions. Here's the final lesson, and it's the most important one. You're not going to wake up rich one day. There's no lottery ticket, no inheritance, no sudden windfall that changes everything. Wealth is built one decision at a time. The decision to save instead of spend. The decision to invest instead of consume. The decision to learn instead of scroll. The decision to delay gratification instead of chasing instant pleasure. Every single day, you're making financial decisions, and every single one of those decisions is either moving you toward wealth or away from it. Most people think wealth is this big, distant mountain they'll never climb. But it's not a mountain, it's the staircase. And every good decision is one step up. The person who goes from $0 to $100,000 didn't do it in one move. They did it in 1,000 small moves, 1,000 right choices, 1,000 moments where they chose the harder, smarter path. And that's the beauty of it. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to make $1 million tomorrow. You just have to make better decisions today than you made yesterday, 1 mile at a time. So what happens when you actually adopt these 7 mindsets? Everything. Your anxiety about money starts to fade because you're no longer confused. You're strategic. Your decisions become clearer because you're not reacting emotionally. You're thinking like an investor. Your confidence grows because you're not hoping things get better. You're actively building something that will. I've seen it happen. People who were drowning in debt, paralyzed by fear, stuck in the same cycle for years, and then something clicked. They stopped thinking like consumers and started thinking like builders. And 12 months later, they're not rich, but they're free. Free from panic, free from paycheck to paycheck stress, free from the weight of financial chaos. That's what these mindsets do. They don't promise instant wealth. They promise something better: control. The goal was never just to learn 7 lessons. The goal was to become the person who naturally thinks this way. Because wealth isn't something you get, it's something you become. It's the result of who you are, how you think, and what you do when no one's watching. 2026 can be another year of broken promises and the same financial stress. Or it can be the year everything changed. Not because you got lucky, but because you decided to think differently. The difference is in who you choose to be starting today. You're not starting from zero, you're starting with awareness. And that changes everything. If you're ready to stop just learning about money and start actually changing your relationship with it, hit that subscribe button right now. Because every video on this channel is built to move you 1 mile closer to the financial freedom you deserve. Don't let 2026 be another year of what if. Make it the year of I did. I'm James. And remember, wealth is built one decision at a time, 1 mile at a time.